The Plein Air Easton podcast is brought to you by the Avalon Foundation, enriching the lives of those on the Eastern Shore of Maryland through the arts. Visit avalonfoundation.org for details on events, performances, and educational programming offered throughout the year.
It was after the moment or during the moment that you were having it framed that you walked through headquarters, and I was like, hey Josh, how's it going? You're like, I just painted the best painting of my life.
Really good.
I was like, that's the energy I like.
Talking to Josh Hoffman, right, Marie?
Yes, indeed. Josh Hoffman, this was his first year at Plein Air Easton, and he walked away with the third prize overall in the competition for his exuberant painting of a treehouse called Youth.
It was great. It was a great painting. I mean, a painting I'll never forget. Seeing it on the wall, it's one of those ones that I'll just always remember. It's so unique. But really, really great. And he's a new young painter who's having a good career.
Yeah, he talks at length about you listen to it, but it's a really great listen for a first-time artist and also seasoned artist, because mentorship has been important to him in his career. So give it a listen. Thanks
for listening to the Plein Air podcast. Nick, can we get one more sound effect? There we go. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Josh, welcome to the Plein Air Easton podcast. It is so great to see you. Not a sweaty mess.
Oh yeah, it's an honor to be here. Right? Much different setting this time.
No doubt.
Yeah.
What has life been like since July? Tell me about getting back into your schedule, or how things have changed.
Yeah. It's been fantastic. I mean, I feel like it was my first time at Easton, as you know, and it was a really eye-opening experience for me. I learned a lot just from being around the other painters and observing how a lot of the other painters approached plein air.
Right.
I learned a lot about where plein air can take you and like the possibilities. You can go with not just like events that you can do, but the styles that I saw from other painters. So like when I came back to Pittsburgh, I was just like filled with possibilities everywhere where I can go with this. I mean, plein air is something that I've studied for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a whole new world to me. The level of prestige of this event and the amazing people and just everything. It was just very eye-opening. Going into it, I was extremely intimidated because I looked up a lot of the other painters. And I was like, oh man, everybody is so good. I'm gonna have a hard time. But yeah, and then coming back with the medal, of course, was I was glowing from that for like a good month.
Yeah,
I was just ecstatic that I got an award.
Oh my gosh, we were so excited for you.
Yeah, thanks. So I think through August, I pretty much just dived right back into the daily practice of painting, mostly in plein air most days. And then by September, I teach only part-time, 2 days a week, but it's middle school art at a Waldorf school. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Waldorf school, but it's kind of a not so traditional type of school that focuses a lot on like children's more so like interpersonal skills and working with their hands and being outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as like rigid as a lot of public schools can be. So I fortunately started teaching there about a year ago, and I honestly never thought I'd ever be an art teacher, or a teacher in any capacity. But I have two kids. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and that's kind of what got me interested in the possibility of teaching kids. And when I saw this opening last year and took it, got hired, and it was really rough at first because I didn't know much of anything with middle school teaching, but I had a mentor who helped me along, and so in September I started my second year of that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Did you have
I was just waiting.
did you catch anything in there you wanted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Josh, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get right into it, I guess. I want to ask a question that I read your bio, and
Yeah.
it said that you had a cancer scare.
I did. Yeah.
And I was curious. You said that after you had that, you had wanted to be a painter, but you had
Yeah.
taken a regular job for family and money.
Right. Right.
So what I'm curious is after you had the cancer scare, 'cause you hear people say this and have this response. They decide that I need to do what I want to do with my passion in
Right.
life. Why that decision?
It was a lot of things that, I mean, so deep down, being a painter was what I had wanted to be ever since I was probably about 15. I went to art school, or I went to school at Edinburgh and studied fine arts, took painting classes, and I actually had dropped out of school my very last semester. I ended up going back later, but it was in part mostly because of like a substance misuse issue and just some other issues. So, and through my 20s, I just kind of floated around, but I had a very deep interest in painting. And actually, one thing I used to do for money was like drive around to different towns and set up a little stand with a plein air easel and just sell them. And I lived like that for a little while, selling them for like $30 each. It was kind of a crazy
I wonder if
way to
any
live.
of those
I lived
people
very
still follow
recklessly.
him.
I've lived very recklessly for a number of years. And then, I don't know, I kind of straightened my act up around, I don't know, my late 20s. Ended up, had a regular job, met my wife, and we found out we were going to have our first kid. And once I found out we were going to have our first kid, in my mind, any prospect of becoming a actual like working artist was just completely thrown out the window. I was like, I'm just going to get a regular job. I'm going to, just do what most people do, like get a job, have a family. And I was very happy with that. So I worked at this nonprofit as a case manager, actually helping people with like housing issues and substance misuse issues for a number of years. And around 2020, with the pandemic and everything going on, we had our second child. And around that same time came the cancer scare, the thyroid cancer. And I think I made a lot of sort of rash decisions at first. Like I switched jobs like right when I first found out I had cancer for something that made a little bit more money, but it was just terrible trying to start a new job through that. Unfortunately, after about a year, I lost that new job, and I had been cured of the cancer by that point. So this is like 2021. And to cure thyroid cancer, basically there was a like 5 centimeter nodule on one side of my thyroid, and they just cut out that whole side of the thyroid and all the cancer. Unfortunately, the kind it was papillary thyroid cancer, is the kind that isn't likely to spread. So I just basically have to go back to an endocrinologist every year to have it looked at. And it's been good since then. But anyway, where I was with, so I had, I had lost the new job in 2021. I was fresh off, getting rid of the cancer and feeling like I was somewhat in the clear. And like, I really had this, I don't know, just a little bit of time that was somewhat panicked to figure out what I was going to do next with my life. I had 2 kids. Around that time, my mom had been carrying one of my old paintings into her house that she had in storage. It was a self-portrait. And one of her neighbors saw it, and she was like, "Oh, that's really cool. My boyfriend's a painter." And her boyfriend came out, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's a great painting. Like, he should meet up with me. I'm a big deal in Pittsburgh. He said something like, I'm a big deal in Pittsburgh, or something that he was referring to that like a lot of people know who he was. And she told me about it. And I was like, oh, what's his name? And she was like, it's Ron. I was like, it's not Ron Donahue, is it? And it was Ron Donahue. And I got his contact from that interaction. You may remember Ron. He's done, I think his last Plein Air Easton was like 2011.
Yeah, I think he predates me. That's why
Yeah.
I have seen the name though. Yes.
Yeah. So I contacted him, and he was kind enough to take me out to do a painting with him. And I had this past life of, art school and doing some art afterwards, but not really in any sort of capacity that would lead to anything. Yeah, from that interaction, like, I don't know, he agreed to meet up with me some more. And it kind of gave me this idea that, hey, this guy is out here doing this. He's out painting every day. Maybe this is something that I could do. And with losing the job, it just so happened the day after I lost my job, my father-in-law, who he's a potter and he taught pottery at West Liberty University. I was talking to him, told him I lost the job. He asked, what would you really want to do? And I was like, well, if I could do anything, I'd be a painter. I just don't think that's possible. And he was like, I think it is. Like, I've seen your work. And he called one of his friends, Bob Villamagna, who's known as the West Virginia Tin Man. He makes like tin art. And Bob talked to me for a little while about, like doing artist markets, applying to different juried shows.
Yeah.
And like he just through Ron, my father-in-law, Lambros, and Bob, like I got new information that let me see that there actually is a way to have a career in the arts and make money without having to struggle too terribly. And really, the key thing that I was taking away from it was it's something that you're probably going to have to work at harder than most other people put into the regular job, and you're just not going to have to give up. Because I feel like that's like one lesson that I could get from a lot of different things. When I was a kid, I played hockey, and I look at I remember everyone wanted to be a professional hockey player, and I look at the people who actually made it far in like college or some that went on to the pros, and it almost seems like the common denominator there are those who just kept working hard and didn't give up. Wasn't necessarily always the best, but that's a lesson that I actually remember Ron told me on the first time we went out painting, was that there were a lot of other painters that were better than him. He just never gave up.
I love how you curated your own mentor panel, it seems like, of people that kind of influenced your early decision to go ahead and do this. Tell me a little bit about like your start in art. Like, did you know since you were a little child that were you like constantly with drawing things, or how does it come about?
Things. See, when I was a kid, I was constantly drawing things, and I was never. I also had difficulty just like paying attention in school, and so I'd always draw. I would just draw stuff during the day, especially on like the sides of all my worksheets. They were all covered in drawings. But it was around the time when I was like finishing up with high school that I knew that I liked art, and that at the time I was going to go for graphic design, because people had told me, like, if you wanted to do any kind of art and actually make money, graphic design.
Oh, that was hot back then.
Yeah. And I'm glad I didn't. I'm very glad I didn't. So,
it's almost completely defunct now.
Yeah, right. I initially went to, I actually had to go to community college to get my grades up to get into actual university. Then I decided I was going to go to Cal U because they had a graphic design program there. But a year into it, I'd been dating a girl at this school called Edinburgh, which has the best fine arts program, at least around here.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to see their fine arts program when I went up to see her. And I was like, this is where I should be. Like, there are so many levels above what I'm seeing here. And so I switched my major to fine arts, transferred to Edinburgh, got accepted into the program. And in college, that's really where I fell in love with plein air painting.
Did they have classes on plein air painting in college?
They didn't. So I'd taken like all my intro drawing and painting classes, And then like I think it's your third year, they want you to like kind of focus in on one more particular subject. And I remember having trouble like deciding on exactly what I wanted to do because it could have been like figurative or narrative. But I was very drawn to Ron's work at the time. So Ron had a book that was very popular when I was in college
Mm-hmm.
called 90 Neighborhoods of Pittsburgh. And it was just a plein air painting of each neighborhood in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
and it was actually because of that book that I had told my advisor that I wanted to focus on plein air painting. But since they didn't have a class in it, they had to make like an independent study. And I got to work with one professor for the next 2 years on just an independent study of plein air painting. And that's where I learned to do, like I would always have like a couple small studies every week, and I'd bring him into him, and he would give me sort of a review on those. Yeah, that was a really, really good experience for me because if he hadn't done that for me, I don't know if I ever would have, like had taken that much time to, do a plein air painting daily for a period of time.
Sounds like a dream painter's life.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I've been very, very fortunate over the last couple of years. I mean, I'm doing this like this and teaching. That's my job now, and it's been bringing in actually a little bit more income than I was making in the social.
Well, if you're doing if my
Not
calculations are right, and you're doing 6,000 a weekend, you're making about $350,000 a year.
every not every weekend. I wish that would be nice. But yeah,
Do you see any art talent in your children or?
I do. Yeah, both my daughters love drawing and painting, and so one thing that I never really experimented with before when I was younger was gouache. But because been teaching, I learned that gouache is great for teaching because it has a lot of the qualities of acrylics, but it washes off. So
Nice.
that's and I really like it. I actually think I like it more than acrylics. But yeah, so they love gouache. I use a lot of gouache with them, and they're always making something.
What a fun experience to grow up with a professional artist as a parent that can actually
I know
put
my
tools in
oldest
your
daughter.
hand.
Yeah, my oldest daughter is starting to appreciate that. Like so I about a year, so not last summer, but the summer before that, I finally got a more realistic studio, which we had a detached garage behind our house, and it was on one of those markets I did really well, and I put all the money into renovating this garage. So I put a roof on it and like insulated it, and now I have like actual studio space. So because it's like 100 feet from the house, often early in the morning, I still work early in the morning. If I'm in the studio, my daughter will come out like just in her pajamas and just like watch me paint or sit with me painting. It's really cool.
I bet that's
Yeah,
the best
I
memory
love
for her.
Yeah, it's really neat. Yeah, and so my wife, her, being that both of her parents were working artists, I think that in her view, it's just like what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think like her looking at it like that made it a lot easier for me to be like, okay, yeah, this is just what this is just the way in which you live. Otherwise, I think if not for like her attitude about that, it would have been much, much more difficult to make that sort of transition. Like her mother is she was an actress, and then she started a theater company called Quantum Theater in Pittsburgh. They do like small shows or in different places in Pittsburgh. And then her dad is a potter, and he sells like, well, he would do like wholesale pottery. So like he would make like 300 pots and sell them to like I don't know, different art centers around West Virginia, and then he also taught at West Liberty. So it was like, living this way. She never had any concerns about it. I guess she always had faith in me that I figured out a way to make it work, and she saw it work for other people that she knew, and yeah. But before I knew her, I mean, I didn't know anybody who made a living like this. Like, it was so foreign to me. I remember my teachers in school saying, "There's no way you could ever make a living doing this." Which I wish, yeah.
We used to have we had an outreach with one of the art classes several years ago, and one of the plein air painters locally that lives around here, and that was like his prevailing theme was to tell these advanced placement art students that you can make a living,
Yeah, yeah,
painting or doing
yeah,
art. So he
right.
was a big advocate for that.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely can. And there's definitely room for like new people to come around. Like I always think that I'm gonna so like in Pittsburgh, I feel like I've been like one of the new like for the last like 3 years, a lot of people have viewed me as like one of the newer people coming onto the I don't know, I guess art scene or and I keep waiting for like when is the next person gonna and I don't see too many people like putting the effort in to do that. So I always tell people that I think there's plenty of room for more artists to come. Like some people feel like, there isn't enough room for me but there is. There's
Yeah,
definitely room for new artists to do very well. Yeah,
exactly. I love that.
yeah.
Maria, as I said, I was around for all the festival this year. But this was a young winner, right? Is that what it was? Is that what you were saying? He was I knew he was a new guy, but you got really excited when he won. He like the whole deal.
Yeah. So I was interested in if you wanted to share the story about your winning painting.
Oh, that was a cool,
Josh won
yeah,
the third place for his painting Youth in this year's 2025 Plein Air Easton
yeah,
competition.
yeah. That was an awesome painting. So a lot of people told me that Easton's kind of like a endurance competition almost,
Hmm.
and I didn't believe it. I was like, well, I'm outside a lot. It's not going to be that bad,
Had you
but
ever
it really
done one
was.
this long,
No,
this many
no,
days? Okay.
no. I've only done like 1 day ones.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So you went from 1 day to the 100-mile race.
yeah, pretty much, pretty much. Like yeah, the heat was the most challenging thing for me. But anyway, so yeah, a lot of people had told me that, and I was
But wait a
very
second,
intimidated.
Josh, let me break this down a little bit. Talk to me
Yeah,
about the heat because you're in Pittsburgh. Like, is it really that much cooler in Pittsburgh? Like, isn't it pretty much
it's well, I'd say
similar?
it's about on average. It's like in the summer, it was about 10 degrees cooler, which is a good bit in the summer. Like
Okay.
if
Yeah,
it
that's
was like
huge.
95 there, it might have been 85 here.
I'm on team. It's not as hot as you think it is.
Okay. Or perhaps it's the humidity.
It is the humidity.
Because
I'm just,
I do remember in the morning, it was actually very challenging. I thought it was going to be easier in the morning because it showed that it was cooler, the temperature was cooler. But it's when that humidity comes up
yeah.
and like you can hardly breathe that. So it was either the heat or the heat plus the humidity, or maybe, I don't know, the intensity of the sun or something. The weather really gets to you there in a way that doesn't really get to me in Pittsburgh.
It's
But
tiring.
yeah,
It's
it's
very
very tiring.
tiring.
So I was like, I'm gonna go all out on this. I'm gonna. I was like even like training where I actually the week before I was going on very long walks carrying all my painting stuff, like a 4 mile walk with all my painting stuff to be like, all right, so I'm gonna make it easy for myself to transport my painting stuff wherever,
Right.
so that when I'm down there, if I get in a situation where I need to like move around, it's not going to be hard. Like I was doing silly stuff like that in preparation for Easton.
Do you think that was
Um,
helpful?
it may have been, yeah. I mean, and then I was painting stuff that like I typically wouldn't paint because it might just be more challenging or might not be as interesting, to just make myself uncomfortable so that I could go down to this new place and be uncomfortable and be okay being uncomfortable. I
Oh,
did put a lot of
yeah.
thought into preparation way beforehand. Like
Hmm.
as soon as I was accepted, I started kind of doing things like that. But the week or two before East, I was really being crazy about it. Anyway, so I got down there, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to limit myself. I'm gonna try to push myself, but limit myself to about 12 hours a day, like out in the world painting. And actually, a lot of that is like looking for a spot or
Mm.
like just like, So, the first day down there, I did a painting just like on my. I had rented an Airbnb because I wanted to bring the kids with me,
Right.
and so on my way from our first meeting to the Airbnb, I did a quick painting to kind of like settle myself in. Went back to the Airbnb, and then from the next morning on, I was getting up every morning before the sun came up. I was looking for my spot, and just as the sun would come up, I would do a painting of the sunrise, and I got, a few pretty good ones. And then after finding Oxford, I did a number of pretty good ones of Oxford. Actually, two really amazing ones of I can't remember the name of the yacht place, but they
I love your Oxford
sold
painting.
both of them.
Your
Yeah,
Oxford painting. Oh my God, I could not
yeah, it
stop.
was good. Yeah, I was really happy about that one. But they both sold at that show, and I'm new to Easton, so I didn't really know, like, it might be hard to get some other good ones before the end of the week. You might want
Right.
to save them rather than sell those.
This
Now
is
I
that
know.
this is that like strategy part that we talked
Yeah,
about in the
yeah,
beginning, like, but you don't know
right,
unless you experience
right.
it.
And so I was kind of kicking myself by the end of the week for selling what I thought were my best two at that show. And I had sold others, like at the first Meet the Artist event, and but I was like still super thrilled they had sold, and it was great. So by the day before the last day of painting, so I think that would be Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I was like so worn out because I was doing 12 hours a day out there, either painting or looking for a spot. And I was just like almost done. I was like, I can't believe I have another day. I'm going to be out there painting. Like, I wasn't even looking forward to the last day. And my wife was just like, yeah, you're so sunburned. You look so tired. Like, why don't you just like paint something really close to the Airbnb? It was in Trapp, Maryland. So like, and rather than like spending the morning driving around looking for a spot, just like walk however far you want to walk, but just like don't get in the car, and that way you're not so far from the house that anytime you're gonna come in, you can just come in and take a break.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a pretty good idea. So in the morning, I remembered that treehouse, and I got up, I walked right to that treehouse, which is in a patch of woods behind our Airbnb. And I try to go with this rule of like, if I'm gonna paint an area, usually the first thing that really catches my attention is doing so for a reason, whether I can conceptualize why it's doing so or not, doesn't matter. If I'm trying to get a painting in before the light changes too much, just go with that gut feeling and paint it. So it was that treehouse. That treehouse caught my attention, and I had a gut feeling about it. And I was doing it. I did it on a pretty big panel, on a 24 by 30, and so I got set up, and I remember like walking all around the treehouse trying to find the right spot, and finally settled on where I did. And I put shellac on my panels rather than gesso, and they're kind of tinted with this nice like amberish color that worked well with like the surround there. Anyway, so I set up, I sketched in where all the light was. Usually I'll start with the shadows, but on this one I sketched in where all the light was. And then I sketched in some of the form of the treehouse, and that was maybe like 2 hours had gone by. And I was like, I think I'm going to take my first break. And so I just left it there, and I walked back to the house. I like had some coffee, rested for like 30 minutes, and went back out. And then I painted for another like 2 hours, and I left it there. I walked back to the house. I played with the kids for a little bit, and then I went back out there. And I did that all day, and by the end of the day, I had this fantastic painting. And whenever it was finished, I was still out in the woods, and I was so afraid. Oftentimes when you're out in the woods, bugs will get into your paintings, which is really scary.
Right.
I was so afraid something was going to fly into it, or like a leaf was going to blow. So I like really carefully got it back into the house. And I remember that night, I had to go pick up the frame from the frame guy the next morning, and just being so nervous about like, am I gonna drop this or am I gonna smudge it? But I didn't, fortunately. And right after I got a frame the next morning, right after getting it framed, the owner of the Airbnb actually was coming back to like do something with the trash. And I was like, oh, hey, like I just did this awesome painting of the treehouse back there. And then he was telling me about how like he had built that treehouse years ago for his kids. Kids were grown, and
isn't that fantastic?
it was cool. Yeah.
I think it was after the moment or during the moment that you were having it framed that you walked through headquarters, and I was like, hey Josh, how's it going? You're like, I just painted the best painting of my life.
It was good.
I was like, that's the energy I like.
Oh, and so there was also like this Buddha statue that the owner had put in the woods, like maybe like 20 feet behind where I was painting. And I remember I rubbed the Buddha's belly for luck before and after it.
There you go.
And so maybe that did something.
Yeah. All of it was important, and it all mattered.
Yeah.
If you wanted to see the painting, you can see it at pleinaiereaston.com. It's in the 2025. It's a picture. There's a very sort of, I don't know, fanciful sort of feeling to it. And then the way you got the light coming up there.
Spectacular.
It's really something. And a really cool looking treehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like one thing that is tough about the painting is that the light works so well in person. So if you look at the pictures of it when it was hung in the museum, it like has a glow to it. Like the value transitions and the color transitions are like just so perfectly right. It's something I always try to do, but you don't always execute that well.
Right.
And it worked perfectly in that one. And for some reason, when you take a photo of just the painting, you kind of lose a lot of that luminousness of it.
Sure.
Luminosity. That's how you say it. Yeah.
And the size as well. You said this is 30 by 24 or what? Or
24 by 30.
24 by 30, yeah. That's a wonderful painting. Youth won third place in the Plein Air Easton 2025 competition. Marie?
Yeah, and that also means that Josh gets an automatic invitation back for Plein Air Easton 2026. Yay!
I'm so excited about it. I know. I'm so excited about that.
Are you bringing the wife and kids again?
I think so.
She sounds like your inspiration. You
like
have
a muse
to
or
bring her. I
something like that,
know. She's fantastic. I need to know her.
She's nice. She's pretty great.
Yeah, well, we're going to take a break really quick, and we'll be back with a little bit more Plein Air Easton right after this.
Producer of the pod, Nick Richards here, inviting you to check out the newly redesigned Plein Air Easton website. PleinAirEaston.com contains all of the festival information that you'll need to plan your visit to Plein Air Easton, including a dynamic festival calendar that features all of the demonstrations, paintouts, parties, and exhibitions available during the festival. Perhaps the most dynamic section of the new website is our archive of our past festivals. Each year showcases the judge and juror of that year, the 58 juried artists that participated, a gallery of the award-winning paintings, a list of additional awards for our supplementary events, and videos of the award announcements and the jurors' talk for the years that they are available. The new Plein Air Easton website features over 100 hours of media content, including all of the back episodes of the Plein Air Easton podcast. For the 11 months out of the year when you can't participate directly in our art festival, you can still steep yourself in demonstrations, time-lapse videos, and the philosophy of top-tier artists through our podcasts and videos. There are plenty more features of PleinAirEaston.com, so take a moment to relive your favorite Plein Air Easton memories, discover something new about one of our juried artists, and plan your visit to the Plein Air Easton Arts Festival and Competition this July.
I was curious if any of your little $30 paintings, people have been following you, like,
I'm super curious too, actually.
I know, right? Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Especially if they produced one day. Hey, here's my little painting I purchased.
Right.
Now it's worth $10,000.
Well, I actually, one time I sold one to a guy, and he came back an hour later and gave me $100 because I sold it to him for like $25 or $30. And he was like, "This painting is worth so much more than this." He was actually an art teacher at a college, and I was like, "Oh, it was a very inspiring moment," which I Yeah.
I often feel like that in the street at Quick Draw. I'm like, this painting is worth so much more than what the price you have on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
We were talking before about your cancer scare, and
Yeah.
you said you moved. I think somewhere in there, you said you moved from you were teaching adults, and you went on to teach children, and
Yeah.
found it kind of interesting. You said there's a dramatic difference.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, with teaching adults, I don't know. I guess I always felt it was more. I didn't get very much out of it other than like having to think a bit more about the technical aspects of what I was doing, which that is helpful. But whenever I made the transition to teaching children, I found myself first like really afraid that I was going to do something wrong and teach the kids something that like may not be useful for them, or maybe they'll do it for the next like 20 years wrong because of me. But once I got over all those fears and started to like gain, I guess, deeper relationships with the kids I was teaching, I found that like within me, I was finding myself just being like a lot calmer. I started to get a better understanding of like people's natures, if that would make sense. Like getting to see all these different younger people at this stage in their development, and like see all the similarities between them and understand their interactions. It's really almost made like a spiritual change within me. And so I've been finding myself so much just calmer and more open ever since starting to do this. And I feel like it's something that's like continued to progress. Um,
And why do
yeah,
why do you think that is the difference between the kids and the adults?
I think when approaching teaching children, like you have to approach it in a much more gentle, thoughtful way. And you have to be very mindful on how you're interacting with them.
Mm.
I feel like
And
that.
if you do that with adults, what happens?
I don't know. The adults they tend to have like their own agendas, and kids do too. But um, I don't know. It doesn't feel the interaction like feels so innocent, and or I guess the process of teaching them feels so like innocent and more pure. Like it's not as
It's more
um,
full of possibility, right?
that's a good way to put it. More
Like
full of
they
possibility.
don't know what you're going to show them. Like you could
Right.
show them, something that they've never seen before, whereas an
Right.
adult is like, they have this knowledge base that they're working from, and, you kind of are all probably close to the same level of understanding about the topic, or
Right. Right.
yeah, or just
That's a
life
great way to put it.
experience. Yeah, yeah. But kids are just like
Yeah.
open
I mean,
sponges to learning.
right. And one big thing for me is that I didn't want to teach them like I wanted to teach them very little about abstract art and more so on the fundamentals of like perspective and proportions and just value, like fundamental basic building skills that they could build off of. And in hopes that by eighth grade they're able to draw from life in a way that they feel pretty confident about.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that a lot of them are, but at the beginning, they're so amazed by just showing them how you can make a railroad track in perspective, and like their their reaction to it is just like it's so big, and it feels they absolutely love that like you can just do this simple trick with perspective and create something that looks so cool to them. And then when they learn to do it themselves, like the amount of confidence it gives them really just like rubs off on me. And I'm like, oh my God, I showed them how to do this. This is so cool. Yeah, there's just something about that is really special.
That's so sweet. It's
And
kind of like you're
yeah,
describing yourself to me during Plein Air Easton this year.
yeah,
So exuberant and so fresh, and
yeah, yeah,
Maybe it's just Pittsburgh adults.
yeah, maybe.
that they're all so happy and
I,
Yeah,
I do the exact
open to
opposite now.
learn.
I have this thing where I'm if you're talking to me and I've just met you, or I don't know, we're talking about something that's kind of serious, and I just start to look at them. I was like, okay, I just did it to Marie while she was listening to you. I was like, let me imagine Marie, what she looked like when she was in third grade. And then I'm like, okay, guys, I could totally see this person why she's saying this exactly now. If I give
Yeah,
I've been doing that for the last year and a half lately. It's, it
it's a good
lightens
strategy.
the mood,
Yeah.
you know.
Right, yeah,
Like
it
I
definitely
just
likes
shrunk
the mood.
down to this little girl with a Dorothy Hamill haircut.
Yeah.
We were also going to mention
Oh, we wanted to talk about
branching out, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
branching
branching out.
out,
So,
like
like, it has been so interesting. Like, at first, whenever I would go out painting, I was always very timid to be in somebody's neighborhood just painting houses, and like people probably thought I was somewhat strange. But as I continue to post and get more recognition, anytime I'm out painting in Pittsburgh now, like somebody recognizes me. I had an article in the Post Gazette, which is like our main
That's
newspaper,
a pretty big
last
deal.
November.
yeah. Is that because of
Yeah,
social media? Like you just
a lot of
constantly
it's social
posting?
media,
That's so
and a lot of
cool.
it's from the Post Gazette article. They actually put me on the front page of the business section because
Nice.
they were like, I mean, I'm not making like an exorbitant amount of money, but I guess the writer thought it was great that like it was like a small business almost, that selling the paintings was like a small business, but it wasn't even. They were mostly talked about the cancer scare and like my life with my kids and the painting process. But
Yeah.
anyway, so just from different publications, I guess, and social media. Social media does it's amazing for painters. I mean, I can't imagine what it would have been like prior to social media to make. I mean, I know there were different avenues you would pursue, but in today's world, I mean, it makes it so convenient to be able to finish a painting and post it and have like a couple thousand people look at it right away. Like that's just awesome. I love that. So I post on Instagram, Facebook, and sometimes Reddit even. And so
Mhm.
there's a Pittsburgh subreddit, and there's about 100,000 people that follow the Pittsburgh group. And so every time I post on there, it gets a lot of attention. And so usually, actually, more maybe 50% of the time that somebody notices me, they notice the artwork. They don't really notice me. They're
Mm.
like, "You're the dude who posts." They all say, "You're the dude who posts on Reddit." Yeah, the dude who posts on Reddit. But it's cool. It's like I don't know. It makes you feel very welcomed in most neighborhoods.
Yeah, that's so cool. It makes you
Yeah,
feel like people know
yeah.
you.
Another thing I've been doing is I've been trying to stick around certain neighborhoods for periods. So maybe like 2 weeks ago, I was in a neighborhood called Polish Hill, and so every day that week I was painting in Polish Hill. And so by like Friday, when I was out painting, they were like, "Oh yeah, my neighbor told me you've been in the neighborhood. Like I was looking for you." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool."
I love
Yeah,
that. It's like an ambassadorship.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and it's I was going to say it's interesting how, with those posts and millions of posts that are going out, if you post something beautiful like a piece of art, it definitely like still gets the likes that Facebook used to deliver
Yeah.
back in the day.
Mm.
Yeah, right. It does. It does. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess that's one of the few things that you'll still get a lot of likes. It doesn't have to always be a video. I tried the video thing for a little while. I mean, I still do them sometimes, but it's nice when you can just post the painting and then see all the reactions to it.
It
And
gets to be a
yeah,
lot of work, like all the filming and
with video, oh
positioning
yeah,
and
video is
then
a whole
putting it and
other.
curating it all to say what you
Yeah,
want to say. Like just snap a
mhm,
pic.
right. It's nice. It's nice.
It's
Yeah, I
exhausting.
mean, I think that like how you said ambassadorship is like it's one of the coolest things about plein air painting that like you can, at least in my hometown, I can go to most neighborhoods and just like fit in right away because I do this thing that kind of brings people together. I remember last week I was in a neighborhood called Lawrenceville, and I was in a back alley near, like, right next to a dumpster, and this woman came out from her house and handed me a seltzer water. It was like, I figured you're thirsty. I was like, oh, cool. And then when she was out there talking to me, her neighbor came out, and then the other two neighbors came out with their dog, and like it became like a little tiny block party, all centered around me painting a picture of their of the back alley,
That's
which was pretty cool.
fabulous.
Yeah, probably the most magical time like that was one time I was painting. Somebody had hired me to paint this funeral home that was being torn down, and it was a historic building, so it was a community group, and they wanted like something to remember the building by. And I was in front of a school, and like throughout the day, I had a few different teachers come out with their students and they were like looking at my paint. It was elementary school. And they were all looking at my paintings. And then at the end of the day, I guess like it had gotten around the whole school that there's this guy outside painting. And so like hundreds of kids just came up and surrounded me while I was finishing up the painting, and their parents were there. And it was a really magical moment. It really, you almost like bring an event to a neighborhood whenever you do it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so, I love that.
Yeah.
What's your definition of plein air painting? Josh?
So it can be any painting medium, but it's I was gonna say painting outdoors from life, but it doesn't necessarily have to be outdoors. That's a good question. Maybe you could say this: it's painting living life while living life.
There you
In a
go.
sense,
Hey.
so like I carry my easel and my plein air easel and a plein air paint toolbox with me everywhere I go. Like it's always in the back of the car, and so like throughout the day, I mean, I know that I'm going to probably spend half my day painting somewhere, but I just always have it with me because like when something comes up that's interesting, I like to paint it.
I like that one.
Yeah, I might put that quote somewhere on my website. Maybe.
I think you could do it. Yeah. Make a shirt for next year.
Copyright it.
Awesome. Josh, it has
Mhm.
been such a great opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. I loved
Yeah.
your enthusiasm during Plein Air Easton this year, but I see
Thank
that
you.
it still carries with you. You still have that light and that spark.
Thank you. Yeah.
What do you say, Tim?
Do you want to do a rapid fire question?
Yeah, sure.
Could be a trick question.
Okay.
You have to answer the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
It's not long answers.
Right.
Okay.
What is the best sandwich?
Turkey cheese.
Oh my goodness. What about the
Just turkey
the
cheese.
Primanti
Turkey cheese by itself.
turkey
Like,
cheese?
Turkey
you have
cheese
to call
on
your bread
sourdough.
out. What?
On sourdough. On a good sourdough. Yeah.
Okay.
No mayo, nothing, just turkey and cheese.
All right, mayo too. We'll add mayo to it.
Lettuce. What about the Primanti
It's a
brothers?
build a
Whatever.
sandwich.
Aren't they gonna get offended up there? The Primanti
They,
guys.
they may. But it's a little too greasy for my. If you're going to be outside painting all day in the cold or hot, greasy sandwiches don't.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
I've always wanted one of those sandwiches. I've never gotten one yet.
They are good.
Are they good?
Honestly, my favorite is I'm not a vegetarian, but they have a vegetarian bean one that's pretty good. It's like, I don't know. It's not called the bean burger, but it's like that. It's like a bean burger patty on a Primanti sandwich, which is pretty good.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
Turkey cheese.
Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
What pie or cake or cookies?
Cookies.
Ooh, I was going to go for pie, and then when you
I
added
was
cookies,
going to go for pie. Yeah.
What's your favorite pie?
Cherry.
Wow.
cherry pie.
Yeah. I'm an apple girl myself.
Yeah. I was never a pie person until my wife was pregnant for the first time, and then like every other night she'd be like, "Will you go get me a pie?" And so I get her a pie, and I'd eat some of it too. But then I came to love pie.
This is another question straight from Pennsylvania, and Dwight Schrute. What is the best color?
I like alizarin, like that red that alizarin crimson makes. You said color, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the alizarin crimson red. You know, that deep red.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Unfortunately, alizarin's a fugitive pigment, but
does that make an appearance in all your paintings, or do you have
no,
like a signature that
the pigment in alizarin crimson is it's known as like fugitive. It doesn't last, so it fades, and so I went through a period of about 6 months where I was using it. And every time I used it, I felt a little bit guilty knowing that, like, if I don't make it thick enough, it might fade in probably like 50 years, but it might eventually fade. But I couldn't get over that guilt, so I had to get rid of it. And so now I use like it's kind of a mixture of a iron oxide, and you can't make up for it. You can't find it outside of that pigment, but
so mysterious.
Very
it's
sad.
like
Very
Banksy
sad.
art right there.
Yeah.
Taking a page out of his
Fades away.
It just disappears.
Mommy, the painting finally faded away.
Your painting's gone.
It's like the reverse Easter lily, whatever.
Yeah, it turns kind of black. So it actually in the treehouse in youth, I used it's not I'm not going to pronounce it right, but it's like paraline red, which is a little bit like alizarin, but it's warmer.
And does it stay on the painting?
Cool.
That's a great answer. Great answer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else?
I think that's going to do it for this edition, Marie. Thank you for welcoming me back.
Cool.
Thank you for having me back.
This is so cool you guys do this. I mean, it's good promotion for everybody, but it's really cool.
I know. Every artist has a story, and they all need to be told. So awesome, Josh. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
Go get your
I'll see you guys in July.
I'll be here before you know it. Happy holidays.
See ya. Happy holidays.
Bye.
The Plein Air Easton podcast is brought to you by the Avalon Foundation and was produced by Nick Richards. Our theme music was generously provided by Blue Dot Sessions, with additional episode music by Scott Gratton. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. You can learn more about Plein Air Easton at pleinaireaston.com.